One second, folks. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers and a public service announcement. So, I don't know if any of you have been out yet today, but you might want to look at this. And there's a reason why, folks. The Mega Millions is up to 792 million. Now, granted, I don't expect to win anything. I never do, but it's still participating in a little bit of just kind of, I don't know, fun moment in history, all right? All right. To the disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please make sure to utilize the headphones, all right? Trigger warning number 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, alright? Okay, so where we left off last time. Okay. New comment, folks. Yay! Brace yourself for the stupid. A comment questions whether references support FDA's statements about psychological trauma, namely that the recipient does not have control over the shocks and has previously received multiple such shocks. Psychological trauma, such as an anxiety or panic reaction, can result when the strength is relatively modest. Oh, for the love of God. This is about the same level of just infuriating as to when somebody else who does not have my diagnosis tries to explain my diagnosis to me and what it is and isn't. Because I am the last person on planet Earth you want to try and pull that shit with. Trust me on that one. Okay? But we can't say that the references actually support that this could cause PTSD. Jesus Christ, common sense says that device contributes to PTSD. But we're going to mince word here, aren't we? You can't say that it is directly caused. Okay, Karen, we cannot specifically, through chemical measurements, say that that specific device caused a psychological issue. But we can say, based off of experience, hundreds upon thousands of studies on the subject, you know where I'm going here, is that when a person goes through a traumatic event or multiple traumatic events, if they are being abused and having their human rights violated in alphabetical order on a daily basis and nightly basis, I might add, that is more than likely going to lead up to post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? Common sense and logic is calling you out, parent Karen. Okay? But how can you say that? Because I'm an abuse survivor, Karen. That's how I know. Personal experience. But you're not a professional. I worked for the Missouri Department of Mental Health. Try again. Okay? Everybody and their mother knows that when you go through a traumatic event or have an overall multitude of traumatic events that happen over a period of time, that you are, if nothing else, at severe risk of developing PTSD later on. Okay? Science backs this up, kids, all right? To sit there and say, but you can't prove, makes me want to roll up to that parent with, like, you know, those old filing cabinets, the ones I'm talking about, metal, heavy, from the 80s, with a fucking cart, and just push it into the room and just yank that shit open. You know what I mean? Because you cannot say, Miss Karen, just because you don't want to have to deal with your own child who never asked to be here, but is your responsibility. You are so afraid of taking responsibility for your own damn child and actually putting forth the effort to make sure that the proper steps are taken, such as a full functional behavioral assessment, that you will literally excuse anything that the JRC does just so you don't have to deal with the kid that you brought into this world. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it like it is. Otherwise, if you were a person who never heard of the JRC and you were reading this for the first time, do not even try to lie to me and tell me that you would still sit there and say, but does it cause PTSD though? Okay. But we don't know if they don't have control over this thought that anxiety is going to lead to PTSD. These are visual symptoms, outward symptoms that most psychiatrists and psychologists use along with the diagnostic criteria within the diagnostic criteria to diagnose PTSD. I need these parents to do me a favor. Shut up for 5 minutes and pull out a DSM because I'm just, yeah, you know where I'm going here. A series of traumatic events can cause the development of stress disorders such as PTSD. The comment takes issue with the FDA's interpretation of the references, particularly regarding current diagnostic criteria for PTSD. The nature of a Criterion A event, one diagnostic criteria in the DSM 5, and evidence regarding a dose response relationship between product traumatic events and manifestations of PTSD. Are you fucking kidding me? You are going to tell me with your full chest that a child that is forced to wear the equivalent of a human shock collar, who is shocked multiple times a day at just below the lethal limit, woken up in the middle of the night to do the exact same thing, that are sleep deprived and on occasion food deprived if we just don't act neurotypical enough to suit you. And you're going to sit there and tell me with a full face, but we can't say that that's what leads to PTSD though. Yes, we can. We can say very definitively that abuse, such as like what happens at the JRC, and yes, it's abuse, kids. It doesn't stop being abuse just because they slap the word medicine on it. It's going to lead to PTSD. We also have the records of those brave souls that were willing to waive their HIPAA rights to bring forth the receipts, in particular, namely Jennifer Masamba, who spoke at length in regards to the PTSD symptoms that still come out to haunt her to this day, and it's almost been 20 years later. Okay? This comment is obnoxious. This is an individual that doesn't want to see what they've subjected their child to. They cannot be reasoned with. You cannot present to them video surveillance footage, data, and medical science for over the last 30 goddamn years. All the innovations and data in regards to person-centered planning. The studies based on positive behavioral reinforcement. All of these studies that have been coming in literally since the mid 90s. Okay? Literally mid 90s. The standard of medicine, folks, standard of medicine. Literally everybody else. Literally everyone else. That has helped billions, billions of kids. And then you're going to stare at what the JRC does. And you're really going to try and tell me, but this is medicine and this is what they need. Nobody needs to be tortured for how they were born. That's my bottom line. I do not deserve to be abused, locked away, tortured, starved, and sleep deprived because of an accident of birth. Okay? Tired of it. We're going to go ahead and close out, folks. But first, I am going to essentially show you the largest chip on my shoulder. It's the fact that these parents believe, but if you just behave like a normal person, then it will stop. Is also the excuse that multiple abusive parents have used over the last several decades. Okay? I should not have to fake and create a persona, craft and perfect a mask to go out and wear whenever I am forced to have to deal with you people in order to not be tortured, starved, and sleep deprived. The same goes for all those kids. And the fact that we're in 2024, that this statement even has to be made, you have no idea how exhausted the majority of us who have been fighting this are. And how much it affects our mental health and sense of self-worth. That we have individuals coming forward like this who don't see us as human beings, who believe we have to jump through all those hoops, pretend to be normal, whatever the fuck that is. or else you get shipped off to a place like this. In fact, kids, that's why the troubled teen industry is booming. We're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know the drill. Please hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to utilize those comments. I appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you next week. Bye bye, everyone.